things that make people think, oh my gosh, you can really have some fun in the classroom. And Glenda and Denny and Jessica. So you learned, welcome, you learned that there's more than one way to log in. So either I can send you the link, or you can just go to the site and click register if it's a non-private workshop. So now you have another way to use to get in. How did you find that, Denny?
Sorry, I don't think I would have known if it wasn't for you sending me the link. I don't think I would have known to do that.
Right. So then, so the other thing you want to do, and next time maybe you can try joining this way. You're all welcome to try it this way, just so you get a taste of a different way to join a session. Is you go to this link here, where you're going to find the classroom, and then you'll see a list of all the classes. And then you just click register when you find the class. They're all organized by date. So maybe we'll use that in the after session email to try to log in this way next time. Joanna, what do you think?
That works.
It's always good to learn a new way. And Danny, you were not the only one who had difficulty with that.
Good to know.
Yeah. It's all part of the learning process.
All right, well, ladies, it is 2 minutes after top of the hour. We are going to have a slightly smaller class today. There are some sickies out there. It seems to be that time of year again. So we're glad for those of you who could make it today. The session is being recorded for those who could not make it. So we started chatting with Denise about a couple of the topics that she was saying and that she's considering for her final presentation. And so we were talking about choosing to cruise, so where she was going to share about, you know, what it's like to cruise and things you should know about cruising. But Denise, why don't you share with us what you would, if you were going to do the Canadian Wives Choirs, what you would think about that?
Yeah, I would, but the Canadian Wives Choirs.
Yeah.
Just basic information on the history of the choirs, how they got started, and what the purpose is of the choirs. Where they exist across Canada, and the fact that they actually started in Britain and have moved across, and how to go about, if you're interested in setting up a choir or joining a choir, how to do that.
And that's great, and those are becoming very popular. I see notices popping up all over the place, even down into the United States now too, I saw. So
yes,
that's great. That'd be cool. Both of those are cool topics. Caitlin, how about you? Tell us a little bit about what you're thinking for your final presentation.
I was thinking about doing a workshop more geared towards colleagues and other professionals, just around self-care and self-compassion, and incorporating that into our work to create more of a work-life balance.
That's an excellent topic, and I love this platform as a way to do professional development for our staff members, for our volunteers. So that's a great topic. Did you have a chance to attend, or listen to the recording of the caregivers that Margaret did put on? Margaret, was that a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Care for the Caregivers. There were 3 different guest speakers. Yes.
Oh, no, I didn't. Was it recorded?
Oh my goodness, yes, and we've had already more than 200 hits to the recordings.
Great.
It's amazing. So I highly recommend you check that recording out too, because it might give you some ideas for your final project as well. So great. And Danny, how about you?
Well, I chatted, I think, with Margaret about this last week. Supporting children through deployment, being a naval base, we have a very, very active Navy community, ships deploying in and out all the time. And I understand that there has been one done on strategies for supporting children through deployment, but not as much one done on ages and stages and the normal range of things you may see with deployment in children. So we teach an in-person supporting children through deployment workshop, and sometimes we get lots of people and sometimes we only get a few people. So I thought this would be a great way to bring that in a different format, possibly in maybe like a 2-part session to families.
I think that's a great topic, and I think that this kind of platform to do parenting classes it's an exceptional use of the tool. They don't have to find a babysitter, right? They can do this from their home, and they can learn from you, and you can bring them your information. So excellent. I think that's an excellent topic.
Also, if they miss a session, they can still, get the information.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Glenda, you're going to do one of my favorites. Oh, welcome to Montreal. I love these. Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking for that.
Well, I'm thinking to do a little presentation about Montreal, the city, the neighborhoods who are around the city, and the activities, the medical situation here, how to get a medical doctor, a family doctor, sorry, and the education system, and etc.
Excellent. These are so great. They're just such relevant topics for people who are moving every couple of years, to just have that initial connection with people at their new location, to learn a little bit, to be able to just ask those burning questions and find out what resources and supports are there for them. So I always love these welcome to live to virtuals, because I just think they're great. As somebody who's now moved a few times with the military, man, there were some things that I wish somebody would have told me, like each move, So excellent. That's really a cool topic. So thank you, Glenda. Yeah, Margaret.
I think also for Montreal, it's especially important because the hoops that you have to go through to get your health card, to get your driver's license, are like no other province. So I think to have this information readily available is phenomenal. It's going to be a great workshop, Glenda.
I had a lot of fun doing all of that this past year. If you could do anything on the Quebec Revenue Service, that would be great too, because that's been my been like the crazy.
With that, I will do it for you.
Oh my goodness! All right, now I could go on about that for a while, so we won't do that. Jessica, how about you?
I would do a Francophone welcome presentation to Wainwright.
And so this would be specifically done in French for Francophone families?
Yes.
Awesome. I think that would be wonderful. Again, I already have said I love these topics, but how much more so for that Francophone family who is feeling like I felt moving to Quebec. I don't speak the language, and oh my gosh, like it's different, it's challenging. And so to get those families a chance to hear from you, to know what's available to them, excellent. I think that would go over very well. Margaret.
So there's a few points that I wanted to share with you, Jessica. We haven't used this feature yet, but WebEx does have a French platform. So when we're delivering it, all the clavardage, all the tools, everything is in French.
That's good.
So you'll be able to use learn how to present in French, which is phenomenal. And the other thing that's really cool is when you do a welcome presentation to Wainwright in French, you have a captive audience, and we're going to talk about your target market. And so you have a great captive audience where you can design other virtual programs specifically for the French families. I think it's a great idea.
Agreed.
Excellent. Well, as always, we are impressed with your topics. We're excited. Again, if you change your mind before the finals, don't worry about it. These are just to get your brain thinking so that as we're doing the next few classes, you're starting to imagine what you would build into your virtual program for your final project. So great topics. Yeah, Margaret.
Well, my hand is still up. It's getting tired. So.
Oh, okay. Awesome. All right. Well, let's dig into today's class. And I'm going to hand it over to Margaret now.
Okay. So, my goodness. So the open forum discussion was talking about our final project. So now we're going to start with an outline. So your assignment this week will be to do an outline for your final project. So it's really a step-by-step process. We started with the communication skills, the best practices, the importance of scripting, the learning styles. So today we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to look at the objectives and match the virtual objectives that are going to achieve the success for your program, and partnering those objectives with different activities. So we're going to have, we started off with the roundtable discussion, and we did some brainstorming. And as Joanna said, these are not set in stone. It's just to give you an idea, because we have about 6 weeks till delivery date. So after we've done the talked about the objectives and knowing your program, then we're going to look at some types of activities, so synchronous versus asynchronous activities. And that's really important because we're going to be bringing that into, it's all about the learners. So last week we spoke about the visual, the kinesthetic, and the auditory learners. You also want to have activities that are both synchronous and asynchronous, and we are going to talk about that. And then we're going to plan virtual activities to coincide with the objectives that you've written out. And we're going to do it as a class. We're going to first give you an example, and then we're going to put you to work with one person's idea, and maybe 2, and sometimes 3, depending how much time. So anything we do here, we say and do here, will be a big help for your final assignment. So I encourage you to participate and to be part of the discussions before the break. And then we're going to have the break, and then we have 3 great and unique, great for the visual learners too, icebreakers. So Caitlin will be presenting Would You Rather. Glenda will be presenting her icebreaker with beautiful pictures around the world. It's going to want you to make you travel, and it will, Denise, it will get the cruising ideas thinking.
Excellent.
And Jessica, we're going to play Would You Rather, and I'm so excited that we have 2 Would You Rathers because they're so different. So now you have a perspective on how you can have the same information done differently. So it's all about being creative. So then once we've delivered our icebreakers, we're going to explain the assignment and how you're going to be setting up your objectives and some activities to go along with those objectives for your final project. So any questions on that? All right, we are good to go, Joanna.
Okay. Let's get started. So knowing, setting, and planning. So today we're going to briefly touch on some basic principles in developing a 1-hour presentation. It all comes down to 3 very simple steps. First, knowing your audience, determining who your audience is going to be, setting objectives, and then designing collaborative activities. So first, knowing your audience. You need to know who you're trying to reach with your virtual program. We are not your knitting military spouses anymore. Well, maybe some of us still knit, right? But there's more. There's so much more that's happening with military spouses, and our family makeups, our family dynamics are so different now. So our military communities are just made up of really diverse demographics. So knowing ages and interests and all of that is very important to start gearing and building your program. So then we set our objectives. And we set objectives because we need to determine what specific knowledge, skill, or attitude you're trying to teach your target audience. So you develop pardon me, I can't talk today. We develop objectives so that we have a very definitive goal that we're trying to meet with that 1-hour presentation. Finally, we design our presentation with engaging collaborative exercises, asking ourselves this question: how can I reach the objectives that I have set for this course by planning interactive activities using the virtual tools that are going to engage the different styles of learning? So in the first few sessions, we have given you the ability to use the basic tools of the virtual classroom that you will be using in developing your 1-hour virtual program. You've learned some strategies for virtual facilitation and the importance of using a script. now we're going to get into the heart of building that engaging, informative 1-hour virtual presentation for your communities, setting the objectives, and then knowing your audience. So, moving on to the next slide. So, the objectives start with who are you teaching to? Who is your target audience? It is very difficult to set objectives if you haven't established who you're going to be teaching. How you present material to military members should be developed and look different than a presentation to teenagers or military spouses. Last class we learned that one component of the target audience is to know how students learn. Are they visual? Are they auditory? Are they kinesthetic? Are they all of them? Are they introvert or extrovert? Or as human beings, are they somewhere in the spectrum of all of these? So let's think about your final project topics that we were discussing just a couple of minutes ago. And then we're going to look at some possible target audience demographics you would be trying to reach. We're really going to pinpoint who it is we think we're going to be reaching with our topic. And we're going to try to get very specific. So please use your pointer to claim a row. Then write in your row the name of the project that you are thinking of presenting. And if you can't see the little arrows, if you just go down to the lower left-hand corner of your screen for the zoom in and zoom out, if you just zoom out one time, you should be able to see everyone's arrows. And you can move your arrows back over onto the screen a little bit more too if you'd like. All right, so write in under topic the topic that you're thinking of doing. And remember to click away so I can see what you've written. Danny, good job remembering to hit your enter button to take you down a row. I like that. And just remember to click away when you're finished typing. Awesome, great job. All right, so let's now think about some possible demographics that you're going to be trying to reach. So some examples of unique participants. So who is our target market? Are they going to be for single members, male spouses? Is this going to be for couples, calf families with dogs, CF1 card holders, teens, elderly? Think of who it is that you specifically are trying to reach and use as many descriptive words as you can think for your topic. And then once you finish typing, just give us a green, a green check if you're on a Mac, or a gray check if you're on a PC when you're done writing, and make sure you click away when you're done. Is this for coworkers? Is it for volunteers? So lots of just really in your brain. French or English? French or English, yeah, very good. Just think of who it is you're specifically
or
trying
Spanish.
to target. Yeah.
Glenda, with your gift.
Mi amor. And then don't forget to give us a check when you're finished. So as we're wrapping up, Denise, I'm just going to start with you. So let's talk about choosing to cruise. And there are so many different family makeups that want to go on vacation, right? You've got couples, families, retired members. Now, could you see that you might talk about cruise in a different way to retired members than you would to somebody with families?
Yes. Yeah, there's certain cruise lines that cater more to one than the other, for sure. Retired members might be traveling as a couple, or they might think of inviting extended family to come on a cruise too. That's a big segment of the of cruisers is family reunions, that type of thing.
And so for a 1-hour session, this actually, you could almost break into a couple different choosing to cruises, right? You could do a choosing to cruise for romantic getaways for couples, or, you know, choosing to cruise for families with small children. And so really trying to decide what am I really, who do I want to reach with this very first one? And then start to think about how you build your presentation from there. But you got a couple families, retired members, and you're right. So much now, people are doing like family reunions. I've heard that, really popular one. So yeah, lots of different ways to use cruises.
It's an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
No
Glenda,
cooking or cleaning.
yeah, yeah, that's it. I know. That's what I love about vacation. So, Glenda, how about you? Who are you looking to reach with your Welcome to Montreal?
To families, to spouses, to parents, and for the people who speak French and English.
Great.
Newcomers, yes.
Yeah, so anybody who falls under that newcomer status. But
Yes.
you could probably see how it might be beneficial to do an entirely Francophone Welcome to Montreal, an entirely
Absolutely.
Anglophone one too, right? Like, not that they couldn't go to each other's, but to offer it. So you could see that you could maybe narrow it down even further from newcomers to newcomers for families, or newcomers just with spouses, or newcomers for if you're speaking one language or the other. So yeah, there's ways to sort of think about this. Who do I really want to pinpoint with that hour? Yeah, great thoughts. And Danny, how about you?
By virtue of it being a program for parents, the primary demographic will be parents.
Parents, very good.
But not necessarily. We have had grandparents come and other caregivers who are involved in caring for a military child. It is required to be 18 plus, so it's not appropriate for youth. We do, just as a sidebar, we do run a children's deployment workshop at the same time that the adult component is going on. So the children are doing age-appropriate activities in a children's group while the adults are doing this program. And but I'm, just for the purposes of this, I'm only looking at the adult component.
At the adults, yeah.
Right. Only ever offered this program in English, but we do have Francophone staff here, and I could see once an English version is developed, it evolving to be offered in French as well.
Absolutely. Margaret.
Okay, so creativity is really important here, and you had a great point, Danny. You said that when you do it in a live audience, you have the parents in one room and you have the children in the other.
Mm-hmm.
How could we do virtual where we are engaging the children as well? Huh. I have to put my thinking cap on that.
It could be done. It would just need to be a very different style of workshop with, the parent leading the child and engaging with activities through whatever platform they're using, the laptop or
Wouldn't it be great, too, if you would partner with another MFRC that has a WebEx license and they could focus on the children while you're doing that? Maybe depending on the age of the children, but if they were like, 8 to 10, they could have a session just for them while the parents were in the session, too. I don't know, just
would be
thinking outside the box.
And I was thinking, too, like one of the ways, obviously you're talking about parents here or caregivers. I think caregivers, grandparents, parents would all sort of fall into that one. But child care providers, or staff, let's say if it was staff. So if you wanted to talk about staff, how can you support? So that might separate that out a little bit, where you'd be doing a delivery of a program to staff in a way that would look a little different from how you'd be doing it to parents, or to child care providers that might look a little different than caregivers. So there's ways to whittle it down that way as well. All right, awesome, yeah. And Jessica, she's just like military families.
Well, actually, yeah, it doesn't get more narrow than that.
So you'd be opening it specifically to any military family, regardless of age or family makeup. And we already sort of went over this with the Welcome to Montreal, but you could maybe split it down into, well, you already saying this one is specifically for Francophones, one you'd like to do, but you could do two, right? You could split it into Francophone and Anglophone, so great. Yeah. And Caitlin.
Oh, I had one question to add.
Margaret, go ahead.
With reference to the broadness of the Welcome to Wainwright, so if you're doing Welcome to Wainwright, sorry, I have a hard time saying that word.
Wainwright.
and you're giving the information on the different services that are offered, if you have military families, any military families, you may be talking to people that have children or people that don't have children. So when you're speaking about the daycare services or the youth programs, the military families that don't have children may target out, and it may be extra information that they don't need. So that's why you may want to narrow it down a little bit more so you can explain what services that are specifically for that person. So if it's military adults, you may want to, in your presentation, talk about MFRC employment programs and education programs.
Yes, I
whereas-
know. This is someone else's actually task to do that, so no, I wouldn't do that. My job here at the MFRC is really to welcome all families and to let them know all the service provided, regardless if they come in here single or with children or ages of the children. Information has to be, so I can't really do 5 different presentations to try to target everyone. It's more like military family people are coming. This is more of a general package with not too much details, and if people want more detail, then we can go down that road. But the presentation would be more general to military families in general.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and
but I understand what you say.
Yeah, this is the reason why we're doing this is just to, it's not to say you have to do it a certain way. It's to say thinking about how you could whittle things down and really specifically hit certain people. So yeah, it's fine to do it in a more broad and general way. But just knowing that if the need ever arose, you could make it more specific to different family demographics.
Exactly.
Okay, Caitlin.
I think that you could apply this topic to many different target audiences, including colleagues, people that you work with, caregivers, which could include new parents if someone's just had a baby. The population that I work with mostly is members and families who are transitioning out of the CAF, which there's an element of stress that come with that, so incorporating self-care practices there. And then spouses during deployment was another idea.
Awesome. And so you were saying, Caitlin, that this one, though, you're thinking about how you can specifically offer it for your colleagues, correct? For staff members.
That was my first, my first inclination with it.
So, but it's a great point. How you would deliver and the information you'd provide to colleagues might not 100% different, but there might be little tweaks that you would give based on the resources that are available through work or what have you than what you would offer to a family. So you can just see how there's little tweaks that might be happening in your presentation based on who it is that you're giving to. So great, everybody. Thank you so much for just going through this exercise with us. Just giving your brain a chance to start wrapping your head around how you're going to start building that final presentation. So let's look at instructional versus performance objectives. So once we have a good sense of who we will be teaching, then the next step is to set the objectives for the program. So for simplicity, let's divide the objectives into 2 measurable topics: instructional objectives and performance objectives. Now, instructional objectives are short-term objectives that show that you understand the material, your participants understand the material. These are objectives that you build your presentation around and can measure while you're still in the classroom. As an instructional objective, we can use words like define, list, name, describe, demonstrate, and can be evaluated immediately in the session. So if I were to say, Caitlin, describe for me how to share a file, my hope is that I've taught you how to share a file and you would be able to describe that back to me while we're here in the class. Another example of an instructional objective would be wanting my participants to feel comfortable using the whiteboard tools before they leave the session. That's one of my instructional objectives. I would evaluate whether I met this objective by asking each of my participants to demonstrate drawing a picture on the whiteboard using any of the whiteboard tools. Now, on the other hand, performance objectives are more long-term objectives to ensure that your participants can apply the information they have learned. These are objectives that can be met outside of the classroom by completing assignments. Performance objectives are often something you can follow up with the participants on after the session is over. Sometimes in certain, with certain topics, there are no outside per se, but we're trying to get you to think of that, those longer term performance objectives. So to evaluate the success of reaching the set performance objectives, one can use words like illustrate, write, show me in some way, and would have to be reviewed or evaluated outside of the class. For example, if we were given a session about using public transportation, the instructional objective could be wanting the participant to be able to list the prices for public bus transportation in their community before leaving the session. So we will have taught them, here's where you find the list for prices, and here's what the prices are, and then we ask them to tell us what that is. A performance objective for this same session could be that the participant has taken a bus within 3 weeks of participating in the session. So they have an assignment. Take the bus within 3 weeks of participating in the session, and then send me an email describing their experience. So we told them where to go, how much it's going to cost, how to do it, and then our performance objective is they actually went out and were able to do it based on what we taught them. So for your final project, we're hoping for you to focus on only 3 objectives. Just pick 3 main objectives for your 1 hour topic, because 1 hour goes by very fast, so 3
Yes,
is actually a lot. Margaret's going to now share an example from one of our most popular virtual programs on scholarships, Finding the Hidden Dollar.
Okay, so we're going to share this example, and then after you're going to have a chance to go through with your program ideas. So this session that we designed called Scholarships Finding the Hidden Dollar, the target audience was for grade 11 and 12 youth that were interested in post-secondary studies and their parents. So our goal was to create the objectives that were measurable, because measurable objectives, you know, there have been many books written on it. It's very important. So as an example of the instructional objective, we wanted to make sure that they were able to list 3 places to access information on scholarships. So during the recording, during the session, we told them how. So we made sure that they had that information. We wanted them to be able to describe the 3 parts of a scholarship essay. So the beginning, where you're introducing yourself, the meat, and then the conclusion. Then we wanted them to list 3 tabs that they should have in their scholarship binder when they're organizing all their work together. So those were the instructional objectives of the scholarship workshop: list, describe, and list. For the performance objectives, we wanted to know long-term how they were doing. So we asked them, apply for 3 scholarships. Use all the information that you learned in the session and show me that you've applied for 3 scholarships. The second part was write a scholarship essay and have it ready to submit and have it edited by at least 2 people. So 2 people had to edit this workshop, this essay that they wrote for the scholarship. And the third performance objective was simply, I asked them to show me your binder, or show the binder to a friend, just to make sure that that binder was actually completed and done. So that was the assignment, to have a binder, to apply for scholarships, and to write a scholarship essay. So the evaluation of performance objectives is usually given time after the session to see if participants are able to apply the information learned. It's long term. And for the final project, we really want you to focus on meeting only 3 objectives. So you can choose whether they're instructional or performance objective. And you want to use creative activities that will meet these objectives. And Joanna, do you have anything to add here?
Just a few points in setting them, just keep it simple. So if you saw there in Margaret's instructional objectives, list 3 places. So you could have you could have a diagram and have them write in 3 places to access information on scholarships, or they could use the chat feature, right? So something very simple. Describe back to me. Give me a check if you think this. You know, lots of very simple, easy objectives. And Margaret, can you just share with them how many people have either taken the live scholarship presentation or listened to those recordings?
Last count, we're more than 750, and it's already saved tens of thousands of dollars in post-secondary education, not only for youth, but for adults as well.
So think about that, everyone, like as you're developing your topic, her 1 hour presentation became something that has gone across Canada, the United States, and Europe, saved tens of thousands of dollars. So this, you can really impact people in a way that snowballs. It keeps building and building. And that's why we want to make these as instructional and engaging as possible.
Absolutely. So now let's put you to work on your presentations.
Okay. forgot how much I'm doing on this one.
I know, I was just thinking that we have to change that. Your voice is there.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to do an activity where we take the topics you mentioned earlier, and we're going to determine who's your target market, and then come up with an instructional objective and a performance objective for your project. Now, I want everybody to think about this, so it's the person who's going to go first. They don't have to come up with these answers all by themselves. This is anybody. If you can think of an objective, an instructional objective or a performance objective for their topic, please raise your hand. So who would like to volunteer to go first, to set an instructional objective or performance objective for their topic? Again, you do not have to keep these. These are just for getting ideas of how it works. Just raise your hand if you'd like to. Margaret, I don't know whose hand went up first.
Yeah, so we have Jessica's hand went up first. Jessica, you're fast to the plate.
So, and would somebody like to be, Denise, since your hand is up, would you mind being the scribe for Jessica? So as she shares her title and target market, and then as we share instructional objectives, could you write those in for us?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Jessica, once again, your project title was Welcome to Montreal?
Welcome to Wainwright.
Or sorry, Wainwright. Sorry.
That's okay.
And again, your target market will be?
Newly arrived military families.
Perfect.
And an objective, instructional objective, first one would be the ability to list 3 services offered by the Wainwright MFRC.
Perfect.
And performance objective could be first to actually physically get your Alberta driver license, transfer over, and second to get your Alberta healthcare card.
Those are you got it. You got it. So instructional objective during the session for Denise. Great, you got it. List 3 services available at the MFRC. So when they leave, we want them to know what services are offered, right? So that's perfect. And then for performance objective, she said, okay, we want you to actually go get your driver's license, go get your health card. And, you know, that could be as simple as just send me an email when that's done and let me know if you had any issues, you know. So excellent. Does anybody else have any thoughts about how they could, what you could do for an instructional objective for a welcome to? Margaret, how about you? You're always great at these.
So you can make it as simple as understands how to use the chat and have a chat activity, or understands how to use the whiteboard tools and have a whiteboard activity for the virtual classroom, so that they feel more comfortable in the virtual classroom. That could be your instructional objectives. And your performance objectives could be perhaps that they attend one other virtual workshop in the next 3 months.
Yeah, so it could be an objective that has nothing to do with your topic specific, but about just being comfortable using this program that you're going to start using in your community on a more regular basis, so that they feel more comfortable coming. So that's great, Margaret. Awesome. Okay, well, let's go to, I think Denise had her hand up, so Denise, let's do this again with you. And can I have a volunteer to be Denise's scribe? Give me a check mark if you want to be the scribe for Denise, which just means you're typing in what's being said. Any volunteers?
Check mark at once.
Anybody? Danny, Glenda? Caitlin, we'll take you. All right, so Denise, share with us your project title, your specific target market.
Choose as a family.
Okay. Ooh, very good. Choose to cruise as a family. I like that. I like that title, actually. And so your target market would be?
Families of all ages, actually.
Cool.
You can cruise with an infant, and you can cruise with your grandchildren.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's think, did you think, I'll ask you first, and then we'll open it to everyone else. Did you think of any instructional objectives that you could think of for your topic?
I would like them to be able to describe what their ideal family cruise would be after I talk about the different types of cruises and how to determine what type of cruiser you are and what it is that you're looking for out of the experience. So after the workshop, they should be able to describe what their ideal cruise vacation would be.
I love that. It's something that if they come into the session having no concept of cruising at all, if you've done your job, something peaked in them in the middle of the session that said, that's the one for me, right?
Exactly.
So that's great. I like that one a lot. Describe for us. That's beautiful. And what about something long, this might be sort of intuitive, what would be a performance objective, something they could do long term?
They could find that perfect cruise. So I would show them where to go to research cruises. I would give them some websites, and they can go through it and actually pick that cruise. Now, whether they book it or not, doesn't matter. Just be able to find that cruise.
Find it and know how to book it. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, Margaret.
So I love this idea, and I'm already on a cruise in my head right now. So the instructional objectives to know, you can also say list 3 cruise lines and tell me the target market of each one. So you know that Carnival is for the partier. You know that Princess is for the or Disney is for the family. So maybe you could discuss the different types of cruise lines and who would go best with which one.
Absolutely.
So that's a great one, Margaret. So list 3 of the different cruise lines that are available, and it seems like there's more and more popping up all the time. It's becoming so popular.
And who are they targeted for?
Yeah, excellent. So list the cruise lines and who are they targeted for, which also supports the find that perfect cruise, right? Like, because they need to know. they don't want to go on Carnival if they're going to parties.
You don't want to book on the wrong cruise line, that's for sure.
Anybody else have any suggestions for this particular topic? I know it's hard because you're like, I don't know, it's not my topic, but just ways that we could, you know what I think might be a good instructional objective for something like this would be list some of the common pitfalls, right, or mistakes people make so that they don't fall into those pitfalls. So that might be an instructional objective. And of course, a performance objective could be take a cruise. But you know what would be really cool too is if you take a cruise, share with us your experience. And that would be a really cool thing to hear back too, is what that first cruise was like for somebody. So, all right, cool, great. Oh, go ahead, Margaret.
So I was thinking one other thing that you can do with this is you could maybe have a short tour of the website of the CF1 site, right? You can explain to them if you have get a CF1 card and look at all the different cruise discounts you can get from the CF1 site, and that could be your instructional, and your performance can be get a CF1 card if you don't already have one.
Awesome. Yeah, great suggestions all around. So any questions? I mean, it seems fairly simple, but sometimes what happens is people try to cram so much information into a 1-hour session that the objectives get lost, and then we don't get interactive, and then people start tuning us out. So we're doing this because we really want you to sort of focus in on those picking 3 objectives, keeping it simple, because in your 1-hour presentation, remember, you've got to introduce them to how to use the classroom tools and do some sort of icebreaker. So there's a lot other things happening in that 1-hour period. So
it goes by so fast.
It does. Margaret, do you want to take the next one?
Yes. Sure, no problem. Give your lovely voice a rest, but I do enjoy hearing your voice, Joanna. So before we go into the next part, and that is going to be matching activities to our objectives. We're going to talk a little bit about synchronous and asynchronous activities. So can you please just raise your hand and let me know what is the knowledge of this class? What is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous activity? Danny.
My understanding is synchronous is activities and handouts in the session, and asynchronous would be before or after outside of the session.
Absolutely. And Glenda, what were you going to add to that?
No, I don't know. I was thinking more than the synchronous. The synchronous is all about the script, and the asynchronous
Yeah,
it's not follow the script. It's more spontaneous.
That's an interesting thought. Danny, you were bang on. Synchronous is when we're working together. So we're working together on these activities. And asynchronous is like an assignment, or if I ask you to do something after the class, the after-session email, that's an asynchronous activity. If I was to ask you, let's say, read an article defining the difference between asynchronous and synchronous activities, that would be an asynchronous activity. So when we're in class and we're brainstorming and we're collaborating and we're discussing different activities right during the class, that's a synchronous activity. So that's the difference. Synchronous, we're all working together. Asynchronous, it may be showing a video, it may be something that you're doing on your own. So now it's your turn. I want you to grab your pointers from the top left-hand side of your screen, and I want you to list one synchronous and one asynchronous activity that you could bring to your 1-hour presentation. Think about the tools in the classroom you can use for your synchronous activity, and give me a smiley face when you're done. Caitlin, I like the self-care activity group brainstorm. When you're listening to the self-care, Care for the Caregiver series that we did, you're going to see a lot of self-care activities that were brought up, and there's almost like a brainstorm too, so that's great. And trying new one each week. Awesome. So Denise, the would you rather would be in session, right? Synchronous, we're all doing it together?
Yes, and I think, yeah, this one really fits the cruising topic, because I could ask, would you rather do a zip line or sit on a beach?
There you go. I'd pick zip line.
Something like that. So just determining if you want a more relaxed cruise or a more active cruise. So that would be a good game.
And Jessica, your synchronous activity is write down ideas?
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate?
Well, instead of being an icebreaker, let's just say we're talking about a topic that people can write their idea, pitch in, and share.
Awesome. And asynchronous?
Using the resources afterward.
Excellent. Yeah, you've got it. Exactly. Yep. And deployment strategies, in-session brainstorm, after-session emails, recapping. A great asynchronous activity is the after-session email and the assignments. Those are all really great asynchronous activity. One other thing is to watch a video. So if you want to share with somebody to watch a video on their own time to get the information, to give them the responsibility for their learning. Awesome. These are great. I can see how your brains are working now. It's really important to offer both synchronous and asynchronous activities, and that's for a few reasons. First of all, because time is of the essence. So participants have to take the responsibility for their learning. We only have a short time in the virtual classroom. And that is why we ask you to review your handbook. For example, for this class, we ask you to review the handbook outside of class. That's why we send you after-session emails. And before session 6, we're going to send you a video to watch, a 3-minute video to watch, so you can have a better idea about polls and breakout rooms. Just remember, too, that as introverts, they need time to process information at their own time. So let them use the chat. Let's do these activities where you're using the pointer and the text tool. So you have to think about the activities for the asynchronous, the synchronous learner, as well as the different learning styles, the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and your introvert and extrovert. So you really have to think about presenting for everybody. For best practice, it's always really good to have after-session email with links and readings that folks can take responsibility for their own learning. Excellent. Okay, so these are great ideas on synchronous and asynchronous learning. Any questions on that? In the after-session email, there is an article that I'm going to send you with reference to this information. Okay, so the next part we want to do is match our objectives to our activities. So we're going to go back to the scholarship workshop for a moment as an example. So the scholarship workshop, if I was to choose one of the objectives, it would be list 3 places to access information on scholarships. So what activities can I give my participants so they have this? Okay, so what I did was I put it into 2 slides. The first slide, producer was scribing. It was a brainstorm, places that participants can name to find scholarships. So that way the participants are writing all the Scholarships Canada through Support Our Troops. They're writing everything that they know. With a brainstorm, anytime we have a brainstorm, we always have to have a slide 2 that has the actual answers. In case you get nothing in your brainstorm, you want to be ready to share. So slide 2 will show all of the different other places that they might have missed, or it will confirm that, hey, you're on the right track. You know where to find scholarships. And for the asynchronous activity, prior to the session, I would ask them to set up a profile on Scholarships Canada. That way, they would at least have an idea. They've seen the site, so when we're talking about Scholarships Canada in the live virtual session, then they have an idea of what we're speaking of, and they know they've gone through it a little bit. So that's their asynchronous homework. So it's a simple, collaborative 10-minute activity that engages your participants at every stage, every 3 to 5 minutes. And remember, it doesn't have to be grandiose. It can be simple. A check mark, use in the chat, raise your hand to describe something verbally, use the polls, which we're going to learn about in session 6, the check or the X, anything to bring them back to the presentation. Okay. So, me chatting is me being engaged. Yeah, that's right, Joanna. You're absolutely right. Me chatting is me being engaged. So let's go back to your presentations. Joanna, do you want me to do this one, or would you like to do it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, so matching the objective to a virtual activity. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to come up with that one objective and come up with an activity that you can ask them to do to reinforce that objective. So as Margaret said on that last slide, to reinforce one of the things for finding scholarships was that they brainstorm. So that was the activity, was the brainstorming. Or using the pointer was the activity to point to what they thought would work best for them. So we're going to do that now. So we've already had Jessica and Denise go. So who would like to come up with an activity for one of their objectives for their session? Can we get Danny, Glenda, or Caitlin? I know we're down a few people, so we're putting you all, you guys get put on the spot today. Okay, so I think Glenda, your hand went up first. So Glenda.
And Danny can scribe, if that's okay with you, Danny. If you can write down.
That's fine.
Awesome, thank you.
So Glenda, your project title again?
Welcome to Montreal.
Welcome to Montreal. And your target audience?
It's for family, for newcomers.
New military families, awesome.
No newcomers, no, but it's open to everyone.
Oh, open to everyone, okay. So open to anyone. All right, and so what would be one objective that you would like for them to meet? What would you like for them to learn at your presentation? One thing.
Get to know the drop-in care, no,
drop-in child care?
No, yes, drop-in child care, yes.
Drop-in, okay. So daycare, okay. So you want to introduce them to the daycare.
Yes.
And getting to know more about it.
How to get a place in a daycare, in a public daycare, or a daycare which is
okay. Nope, that's good, yeah.
Okay.
So let's think of a virtual activity that's going to help support this objective that when they leave, you know, that they have had the chance to learn about the daycare and how to secure a space. So let's get creative here, and let's think of what kind of virtual activity could they use. So just to throw something out there to get you the ball rolling. So what if on a slide you had a list of the 5 daycares in a location, and you put the location of that daycare. Yes. And the activity is that they use a pointer and point to the daycare that's closest to them. So again, this is just, we're just sort of making stuff up on the fly here, but the idea is that you're getting them to first off identify by using their pointer tool a daycare closest to them, okay? So using that kind of thinking of different ways you can use a tool, can anybody else come up with an activity that you could use? Remember, this can be chat, whiteboard, it can be diagrams, pictures.
Yes, they can describe what do they think they have to do before register a child.
So describe, so let's think, how could we have them do that? We could have them describe in the chat, right? We could have them type in a chat to describe. Yes. We could have them use their text tool and write on the whiteboard. Margaret, you got an idea?
Yeah, what if the objective was, so when you're talking about how to secure a child care space in a public daycare, what if the objective was something like knowing what questions to ask? And then have an activity where you have people get on the whiteboard with their pointers and their text tool to write a question they would ask when they're interviewing a daycare.
Oh, for interviewing for a daycare. Yeah, that's a great idea too. Because you want to go to a daycare that you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Or you could also have the questions already put on a slide, right, on the right-hand side. Here are 10 questions to ask a daycare worker, and then each person has to point to the one that they like the most or that speaks to them the most, or yeah. So you can see what we're doing here. We're just saying, how can you build up an activity that gets people engaged on the topic that you're teaching about? Anybody else have anything they can think of for this one? Again, part of my sniffles. So we've got pointer tool, chat feature, text tool, having questions already on there and using the pointer, or you could draw lines, to it, or whatever. So lots of different ways that you could reinforce this objective with an activity.
And I have also an activity, asynchronous activity.
Asynchronous, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, a synchronous activity, which is go to visit 2 websites to find this information.
Oh, great. So an asynchronous activity would be to go to two different websites to get information. Excellent.
Yes.
That's excellent. Yeah, great idea.
One is to register your child, and the other one is to know the comments of the daycare. Mm-hmm. And the comments of the other parents. I'm sorry, the comments of the other parents about the daycare that the person is interested in.
Exactly. No, you totally got it. And now these activities that we're sharing are a little bit more involved, right? We're asking them to do something on the whiteboard or chatting something, writing something. But you could start off this objective with a simple question of who here has had to secure a child care space in a public daycare setting before? Give me a check if yes, you've had to, or give me an X. Yeah, so that's so simple, right? We're not asking, it's not going to take 5 minutes. It's just a quick little, let's take a quick little poll. Give me a check if you've had to secure daycare, or give me an X if this is your first time ever having to deal with this. And that does 2 things. It engages your participants because they have to click on something, but it also tells you something about your participants. right? It
Right.
gives you some feedback immediately. Oh, look, 5 out of my 6 people have never done this before, so they're going to probably have lots of questions. So it gives you information about your staff. Danny, would you mind muting yourself? We're just hearing like banging and stuff in the background.
Oh, my apologies. I think that's my,
that's okay, no
whatever
problem.
they're doing in the office beside me.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. Thank you.
It's hard to describe. It really is.
It is, yeah. Okay, Margaret, do we have time for?
You know what? We only have 3 presentations today,
Okay.
so we do have another 5 minutes, yes.
So we're going to do one last time. We're going to do the exact same thing. And who was the hand?
Danny was
Danny?
actually the
Oh, great.
one, yeah.
So you'll just have to unmute again, Danny, but that's okay because you'll be the one talking. So Danny, let's go ahead and who would like to volunteer to be her scribe? I think everybody's gotten a chance. Oh, Margaret. Margaret will volunteer to be your scribe. Excellent. So Danny, go ahead with your project title and your target audience.
Okay, the project title is Supporting Children Through Deployment, and the target audience is parents and caregivers of military children.
Okay. And we'll wait for Margaret to have that in. Supporting children through deployment. And excellent. Okay. So let's think of one objective for your class then. What is one thing that you really want to have your people walk away from your class knowing?
I'd like people to maybe notice 3 changes that deployment means for their family.
Excellent. So notice and put, share or notice or list or 3 changes that deployment means to their family. That's just even thinking about that, I'm just like, oh, there's so many, right? Like
So
we
many.
just don't even think about it, but yeah. Okay, so let's think of some activities that we could build around that. Do you have any off the top of your head, Danny, or would you like one of us to start?
I think that, you could use the chat function to share a change with one other person in the group, or you could certainly use the whiteboard to, indicate one change you've noticed in your family related to parenting, specifically since deployment has happened, or one that you anticipate happening when the deployment happens. And probably the precursor to that would be asking people in the group, are you currently experiencing a deployment? X or check.
Exactly. You got it. That's right. So just giving that, or even just a smiley face or a caution face or whatever, right? Like just give me a face if you're in the middle of a deployment right now, right? Or use the smiley face that adequately represents how you feel during a deployment, right? Excellent. Yeah, exactly. You got chat, whiteboard, check or X or smiley face for how they're feeling. Just to think outside of the box and just sort of throw something out there. What if you did a slide that had pictures of different changes that people go through? Pictures of military families and or happy sides, or happy faces or pictures, or sad faces, or just different visual pictures, and then they use their pointer to point to the one that they have experienced the most or has had the most impact on them. So just again, I'm just trying to think of it just a different way of throwing something out there. Margaret, how about you?
So yeah, one of the things that you can really take that will really help with the engagement is the very beginning. So when you open up, you're here in half an hour early, sometimes an hour. In that very first slide, when you're helping people log in, give them an activity. Say, okay, we're waiting. We'll start exactly at 6 o'clock. While we're waiting, please write in the chat, are you currently employed? Please write in the chat what you hope to learn from today's session. Please write in the chat a question that you want to know, or how you're finding deployment. Give them an activity so that while they're there, we can start the conversation going right away, because everything we say and do for a reason.
Yeah.
Right, you could also ask them, to identify one thing they're hoping to get out of today's workshop, which is something we do at the beginning of the in-person workshop.
Exactly, and that hits 2 objectives. That way they're already learning about the chat, so they know that that's where they're going to be doing a lot of interacting. And you're finding out information about your people.
So hopefully doing 2 different people's, their topics, which are 2 very different topics, you're able to see how determining your objective and then finding ways to build activities around that objective, that's what's going to help get your brain thinking, okay, because remember, what is this course? How do I adapt my live presentation to a virtual audience? How do I take my objectives and engage my audience in a virtual setting using these tools, right? What are these tools that are available for me to use? And so we want you to start thinking about that. Okay.
So just before the break in the after session email, you're going to be given this objective sheet, very similar to this. And we're going to ask you to complete it so that you have a good idea of the name of your program, who your audience is going to be, just one instructive and one performance objectives, and then write maybe 2 activities for each of those. You don't have to use all the activities in your session, but that will give you great ideas for how you're going to be presenting and how you're going to match the activities to the objectives that you set. So raise your hand if you have any questions about this assignment, and we'll talk to you more about it after the icebreakers. Excellent. Now, so when we give you this assignment, raise your hand if you can tell me if it's an asynchronous assignment or a synchronous assignment. Denise.
Asynchronous is going to be done alone after the session.
You got it. Awesome. And that deserves you a coffee and time for break. To get back from the break, that was a lot of information, Joanna. Thank you for your lovely voice. That was a lot of information. When we get back from the break, we'll have Caitlin start off with Would You Rather?
Okay, see you guys in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to come back after break. I have a flight at 4 o'clock.
Where are you going?
Toronto for training.
Fun!
Yes,
oh
I'm looking forward to it, but I need to leave the center at 2:30, so that's 23 minutes from now, and I have some thinking to make sure I'm wrapped up before I'm out of the office for 2 days.
Absolutely. Have a great trip. I'm so excited for you. Thanks for coming out.
Yes, I just hope, I don't know if you saw the forecast, but Atlantic Canada got some terrible weather, so I'm hoping that things are moving again. You know, a lot of flights were canceled this morning.
Oh, no. Well, we'll send positive vibes for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you can listen to the recording to hear the icebreakers if you want.
Will do. Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, bye-bye.
Give us a green check when you are back.
I love the image.
I know, isn't it great? Giselle gave us that when we were, she was one of our previous students. All right, so before we get started, we're just going to talk for 1 minute about icebreakers. So remember, everything you say and do for a reason. So try to make your icebreaker related to your topic. And as the name suggests, an icebreaker is a great way to connect with people, get to know your audience, break the ice at any event or meeting. Consider having an icebreaker when participants come from different backgrounds so they can connect with one another. They could bond quickly, especially if we're working in a group over a couple of sessions. Consider doing an icebreaker when your team is newly formed, perhaps, and if the topics you are discussing are unfamiliar. So as a facilitator, it's a great opportunity for you to get to know your participants better. And over to you, my dear. Joanna is going to produce for you.
Great. All right. So welcome, participants. We are going to engage in an icebreaker activity as a group, not only to invite some fun and adventure into the session, but to get to know each other a little bit better. I've chosen to theme the icebreaker around self-care. In the helping profession and as caregivers, we are constantly preached to practice self-care and explain the importance of these personal practices for stress management. I'm excited to see how you invite self-care practice into your life and how you choose to rejuvenate yourself. Raise your hand if you've ever played the icebreaker game, Would You Rather, before. Has anyone played it? Oh, a few people. Joanna, Denise. Oh, good, good. So for a few of you, it's brand new, which is good because it's easy to catch on. But for some of you, you're veterans, you know this. So I'm excited to bring this icebreaker into the virtual classroom. So Would You Rather is a game of preference. I'll be asking you a question starting with the phrase, would you rather, and followed by two options. In this case, the options are going to be related to self-care. When I complete the question, I invite you to use your pointer tool, the arrow on the top left-hand side of your screen, and point to either the picture or the word representing the activity or answer of your choice. As you can see, my producer is demonstrating this. Yeah, thank you, Joanna. I have included both words and pictures to represent your two options. So there are 8 questions in total, and we're going to alternate. So the first question pertains to the 2 pictures, second question pertains to the 2 words, and so on. There are 8 questions in total, and we'll start at the top of the slide. Just give me a green check mark or check mark if you're good to go. Anybody have any questions? All right, and I'm sure Jessica will pick right up when she comes back. All right, let's get started. So, yeah, grab your pointer tool. We'll start with the 2 pictures at the top of the screen. Would you rather go for a run or attend a yoga class? Oh, great. Joanna, are you a runner or a walker, a jogger?
Well, this is a would you rather. I would rather jog, although my knees don't let me anymore. But that's what I would rather do.
Well, it's also good to go for just nice long walks, right?
Yeah, I do, yes.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, we'll move down to the next question, which is the 2 words. Would you rather watch a funny movie or watch a dramatic movie? Wait.
Yeah, I don't have it here.
I don't have the words.
It's okay. We'll just, you know what? Let's, can we chat them in the chat box?
Sure, let's improvise. Great. Yeah, if you just write in the chat box, would you rather watch a funny movie or a dramatic movie? Oh, I've seen funnies. 1, 2. Oh, great. Jessica, what was the last great funny movie that you watched?
You know, it's actually been so long that I don't even remember. Like a really, really funny one.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But I will let you know as soon as I have one.
Yeah, I find with comedies, like it's few and far between now, really good comedy movies.
Agreed.
Oh, someone says The Pink Panther. I've never seen The Pink Panther. Is that funny?
So I saw that. This is going to date me. I saw that years ago with Steve Martin, and it's a mystery comedy. But in the movie theater, I saw it, and I was belly laughing. My stomach hurt so far. Maybe it was just because I was in the mood. I don't know. But The Pink Panther, does your dog bite? It's not my dog.
Oh, that's great. And I see a few other great comedy ideas, Keeping Up with the Joneses, Zoolander. Has anybody seen a really good dramatic movie lately?
I just watched a series on Crave, so it's not really a movie. I think it was 5 parts, and it's called End of the Parade. So it's about a story of what happened in British society before the First World War and during the First World War and shortly after, how that changed society. So it's something that I was very interested in.
Very cool. Very cool. That does sound dramatic as well.
Yes, and it has Benedict Cumberbatch starring in it. So, yes, I could sit through 5 hours of that anytime.
That's great. Thanks, Denise. All right, we'll go to our next question. Would you rather spend a day at the spa or hike up a mountain? Oh. You can use your pointer tool to point to the picture. Great. Oh, really? We're more hiking people than we are spa people? Let's hear that. Glenda, are there any good places to hike around where you are?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. They are a little mountain that we can hike. But I didn't have already the opportunity to go. But I'm looking forward this summer.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, summer's a great time to get outside and do some hiking. Absolutely. Well, we'll continue with what the pictures are on the screen. Would you rather vacation at a cabin in the woods or vacation on the beach? Oh, we're getting some mixed responses. And really, I'm surprised it's a cabin in the woods. Denise, where did you go last where you could sit on a tropical beach?
Oh, we did a Southern Caribbean cruise in early December.
Should have known the cruise, for sure.
I'm surprised I'm the only beach vacation person here. Maybe I have to change my presentation. I don't know anything about cottaging, though.
Yeah, if I had a pointer, well, I guess I do, I would also, there you go.
Oh, you'd be with me on the beach. Excellent. I'm not alone anymore.
Definitely join you on the beach.
I like how the cabin vacation connects with the hiking day. Because in the cabin vacation, you would be doing hiking and stuff. You know, you're in the middle of nowhere.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. Be hiking during the day and then enjoying a cozy cabin at night. That also sounds extremely inviting. All right. Would you rather meditate or meet friends for coffee?
Depends on the day.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
If it is, it's what?
That Jessica?
I'm not a meditation person.
Oh, you're not a meditation person? I think this also could speak to the introvert versus the extrovert.
Absolutely.
So someone who likes to sort of sit by themselves and meditate versus be outside surrounded by other people.
And you know what's really interesting is my son, he doesn't call it meditation, he calls it sitting on a bench.
Yeah?
And he can sit on a bench for 3 hours and just quietly, he doesn't want anybody around him, he just sits on the bench and watches the people. And I guess that's meditation. And I tried it, I could do like 3 minutes. So I would really love to be able to meditate, but it's hard.
It takes practice. Sure. And in my workshop that I want to do, I want to talk about meditation and starting to practice meditation and different resources. There's tons of apps and things available that make it a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be, sitting cross-legged in the picture by a nice stream. It can be something that's adaptable to anywhere.
I can't wait to go to your workshop.
And then Jessica also said reading a book instead of meditating over meeting people. So yeah, doing something on your own that you can kind of recharge as well. Okay, let's do one more. We're going to have to use the chat function because my question's not on there.
With apologies.
Problem. Would you rather learn to play a new instrument or learn a new language? Oh, we got lots. Oh, it's a bit divided. Oh, Margaret, you're doing both.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. What language are you learning right now?
So I'm learning German.
Oh, cool. Well, that makes sense. Yes, being in Germany.
And I'm learning how to play the guitar.
Wow.
Very cool.
So I don't know which one I'd like better.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Different ways to express yourself. And Glenda, you said you'd want to learn to play a new instrument. What instrument would you want to learn?
I don't know. I am between the guitar and the piano.
Great.
Also, I would love to learn a typical instrument for my country. That's a cuatro. That means 4 because it has 4 chords only. But that's it.
That sounds awesome. Fantastic. Well, we're very ambitious learning instruments and languages. That's great. So thank you so much for participating in the activity. It's great to see just what a diverse group of human beings we are gathering together. And it's wonderful to see how we all integrate or set the intention to integrate these self-care practices in our lives.
Yay.
Bravo.
Oh my gosh, you did that so well. I loved how you improvised.
Oh, thank you.
And just the facilitation skills that you brought to the table here too. You really spoke with everybody. Wow, well done.
Thank you. I'm done now.
I agree. Love the pictures. I love the pictures. I love pointing out. I actually sort of liked that we chatted. I mean, it made it so interactive between the pointers and the chatting, and it just was very engaging. So excellent job. And perfect, actually, for your topic, right? Like this is, like you've got an icebreaker that actually supports your topic. So I love it. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments about Caitlin's presentation? About this icebreaker? Where would you use this icebreaker? So we know right now that it's an icebreaker that's topic related. So where else would you use it? And I'm quite excited because we're going to see how we can adapt it to different ways through Jessica, because she'll be doing it in a little while as well. All right, so.
I was just going to say, you could do this with MFRC programs.
You could do it with MFRC programs.
Would you rather do this MFRC program or this MFRC program?
Actually, that's really great. Let me just show you something here. Just a second. Sorry. So I just wanted to bring this up. This is 2 truths and a lie deployment style. So it's not would you rather, but it's a way of doing a different activity that we've seen in the class where it's already set up, and it's theme related.
I love that picture of the coordinator. That's how I feel some days.
All right, so Conversation Cafe is a very cool activity, and Heather will be presenting it another day. She's not well. So we're going to go right to you, Glenda.
Thank you. Do you hear me? Yes. Okay.
I can hear you beautifully. Thank you. And I'm going to be your producer today.
Okay, thank you very much. So welcome to Tour Around the World. You will find in this slide 6 images about our beautiful planet, and you have to guess the name, the city, or the country of each one. So use your pointer, which is in the top left-hand side of the screen, to reclaim an image. Each photo can be selected more than once. Then, looking back up to your whiteboard toolbar, select your text tool and write the name of what do you think it is the image that you select.
Okay. Great. So before we do that, let's just make sure everybody has their arrows. We have Caitlin with the turtles, and Denise with the something, and Joanna, and Jessica. We got everybody. All right.
Yeah. So you have 3 minutes. At the first image, we have a hint, and the fifth one, we have a hint too, and the last one, we have a hint.
I like the hints.
Okay.
So we have 3 minutes, and just give us a green check when you're ready to share if you're done before the 3 minutes.
That was
Okay.
So, are we close? I think
All right.
everyone, yes, I think everyone is already Iris Denise.
I've just muted Jessica's microphone just for the moment. I was hearing some background noise there.
Okay. Denise, can you click? Okay, great. Thank you. So let's see what we have. So, Caitlin, what do you think of, what makes you think that that is Galapagos Island?
It was just a wild guess, to be honest, but I know Galapagos Island is known for its wildlife, and especially the turtles, and the hint was that it was an island, so.
Yeah, but you get it right.
Oh, good.
So the first image is the Galapagos Islands, located in the equator at the Pacific Ocean. So Denise, so that's positive.
Yes, it's the Opera House in Sydney, Australia.
Have you been there, Denise?
I think we left.
Yes, yes. I actually lived in Australia for a year, and then we went back and did a family cruise. I think it was 5 years ago now. So the cruise ship terminal is actually just to the right of the Opera House. So as we did our sail out, we sailed past the Opera House. It was unbelievable. It was so beautiful.
Awesome. So you could do an activity like this for your cruises.
We
Absolutely.
do a slideshow of all the cruises she's been on.
Yeah. That would be a whole nother workshop.
So the Sydney Opera House, it's a multi-venue performing arts center in Sydney, and it's one of the 20th century's most famous and distinctive buildings.
Yes,
cool.
I actually saw a play there. Went to a play.
Cool.
You're full of information and interest.
Yes, really. So the
Well,
first
I've had a long life, so lots of
For a young person.
Oh yeah,
that's
53 years
amazing.
young.
Hey, you and I are the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first image is the Great Wall of China, built along on east-to-west line across the historical northern border in China. So, okay, Joanna.
Okay, so this would be the pyramids and tombs in Egypt.
Yes, you get it too.
I think I was right when I first put the Sphinx, huh?
Yes. I saw the image and I think, my God, it's really hot in there.
That's what I didn't know. That's true.
How did you know it was a Sphinx, Joanne? Have you been there?
No, just up on my geography.
Oh, very good.
Picture
So
channel,
apparently
I
it's a
guess.
mythical creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human. And it's located in Egypt. That is cool. Huh.
Great. So, Margaret, how do you know about the Oktoberfest? My God, I wondered that.
I picked the Oktoberfest because, well, I'm here, right? And, you know, I hate to say it, but I didn't know all the other ones. So I knew the Great Wall of China. I didn't recognize Sydney. I'd like to go there. I knew the Egypt one. So I did know some of them, I guess. But I just thought it would be fun to choose the Oktoberfest because it's just a crazy, crazy time.
Yes, that's it. So, it's the world's largest beer festival located in Germany. So, have you already been there?
I have not been to the big one, but I've been to little ones, many little ones.
Okay.
And I have the dress to go with it.
Oh, that's nice. So, Jessica.
Yes.
Why do you think that the tallest waterfall in the world is in Venezuela?
It is.
Ah, you're sure, huh? But you get it right.
Do you know what it's called?
Angels Falls.
Have you been there?
Yay!
No, it's on the bucket list.
Awesome.
Oh my
What a
God,
great
it's in
bucket
my
list.
bucket. Yes, it's in my bucket list too. Even if I am from Venezuela, it's really expensive to get there. There's no public public transportation to go there, and there's no routes, or there's no you can get by car. It's only by plane.
Oh, wow.
So it would be
It's
expensive
really
to get
isolated.
there.
Yes, it's really isolated, and once there, the last time I got information, there's no any kind of connection with the outside. There's no internet connection. It's only connected with the nature. So
Oh, wow.
it's in a bucket list.
That's
it's
a
really
great bucket list item, Jessica. I think I'm going to have to join you on that one. It has a height of 979 meters, so 3,272 feet. Wow. Awesome.
Yes.
That's gorgeous.
Yes. Okay, that's it. So thank you very much for participating in this activity. You are really great. You get it all good. So thank you so much. I pass the ball to Margaret or Joanna for the presentation.
So, Glenda, how would you adapt this for your project on Montreal?
I'm thinking about putting pictures about Montreal or services we have here, so people can get it, because all the information will be explained before the icebreaking activity. So I think I'm going to put pictures about Montreal or events or highlight sites here in Montreal.
Excellent. We did an activity like this with interviewing. So we did an interview workshop, and we had different outfits, and then we decided what could you wear to what type of, if you were wearing that particular outfit, what type of interview were you going for, or should you go for, or not wear it at all. So it was a very good activity too. So pictures are really a great way to engage our participants, especially the visual learner.
Yes.
Awesome. You did a great job, Glenda.
Oh,
any other comments or
you.
questions or thoughts on this type icebreaker? Just raise your hand if you want to share anything. All right. Well done.
Thank you.
So now we get to go with Jessica.
Well, good day, everyone. We are going to do yet another icebreaker because Well, the would you rather is actually one that I personally like. It's easy, flexible, and it can be adapted to basically any kind of audience. It doesn't ask questions that are too personal, so people who don't want to overly share find them very easygoing. So without further explanation, let's start. So this game is great for virtual presentation, as I said. If at any point during today's session you have questions or comments, please feel free to write it in the chat box located at the right bottom corner of your screen, or raise your hand. So, using your pointer located in the top left corner of your screen, indicate by pointing the answer if you would rather say everything on your mind or if you'd rather never speak again.
Your pointers can be found on, there we go. Yeah. Oh, we're split right in half.
Yeah, we got a little bit of both here. Well, that's fantastic. that says a lot about people. I like it. So using your pointer again, indicate whether you would rather be a deep sea diver or an astronaut. Again, did anyone want to be an astronaut when they were young? No, not in this group?
No, but I remember an astronaut came to speak to my son's class when he was in kindergarten. And he came home, he said, I never want to be an astronaut. I said, why? He said, because they have to wear diapers.
Oh, fair enough. So if you want to share a little more about you, you can always write in the chat box what you wanted to be when you were a child. Well, astronomy is indeed great. It's a lot of physics to be an astronaut. So you gotta love it. All right, no sharing. That's okay. Next. Oh. Oh wow, you want to be a lot of things, eh? A police officer, a preacher, anthropologist, actress, and university professor. So a little bit of everything.
I like it all.
That's okay. Lots of interest. All right. Next, using your pointer again, would you rather stop time or have the ability to fly?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think I'd go for fly.
I would have to go to fly myself too. I'm more of a flyer than a stopping time.
So would you stop time periodically, or would you stop it for a long time, or could you stop it and start it? I want to know what my powers are
parameters.
here.
What are the parameters of this ability?
Well, for me, I was thinking I would like to stop time momentarily. As your kids get older, you just have that real, you just know that someday they're not going to be there anymore. So I'd like to stop time just to savor it.
Oh.
Okay, I'm back to you. I'm with you, Denise. I've moved my arrow.
Yes, absolutely.
Time goes by so fast, hey?
It does.
All right, let's continue. So using your pointer, would you rather have the ability to end hunger or the ability to end hatred?
If you ended hatred, you
wouldn't have hunger.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
One
takes care of the other, or the other way around too. If you're hungry, you might.
No, I agree. I mean, it's a difficult choice because both are atrocities, but you're right. If you end hatred, chances are hunger will follow.
That really gets me thinking, Jessica. These are really great questions. They're very deep.
Oh, well, it's just to get to know people a little more without asking too much from them. Yeah. I think everyone's quite so far as entering yourself. So just a quick reminder that if at any moment you want to write a comment either in chat box or raise your hand, feel free to do so. Some people have been quite quiet so far. So next, using your pointer once again, would you rather have one wish granted today or would you rather have 3 wishes granted in 10 years? I could be that in 10 years. Yes, that's true. You know, they have a saying, never put off tomorrow what can be done today.
That's right.
There you
But
go. That's right.
in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Huh?
But then again, good things come to those who wait. So depends how you see it. And we have a very split group here. It's a little bit of everything. My one wish would be to have all my wish. I like it, Denise. That's actually a great wish. It's a forever wish on.
Why not?
It works.
Might be dangerous though. What if on a really bad day
That's right. You
like
just
got
can't
in a
do it
fight
in the heat
with
of the moment.
somebody? Yeah, you got to fight with somebody. Wish too.
So lastly, because everyone loves a good vacation,
I know where you're going to go, Denise.
using your pointer indicates to, would you rather own a ski lodge or own a surf camp?
Oh.
You know what, Joanna, I agree with you. A ski lodge is great. Where would you have it?
I don't know. Somewhere cold. I love cold weather. I know I'm crazy, but and I'm not a good skier, but I've always wanted to learn how to snowboard. I'm probably getting too old for it, but I'd like to learn.
There's no such thing as age.
That's
for
right.
snowboarding.
Tell that to my knees. Tell that to my knees.
And ladies, anyone want to share where you would own a surf camp? Where would be the best place, or the dream place, should I say?
I would go Byron Bay, Australia.
I heard that's one of the best places to surf. Actually, that's where they hold
It is.
international competition, right? Sorry.
For me, that would be Hawaii.
No, Hawaii.
Yes.
Living the rest of your life in Hawaii?
No.
No, just a surf camp?
I think it would be someplace for me, somewhere like Spain, you know, where it's just nice and warm. But yeah, I think that's where I'd go.
Spain? Portugal?
Portugal too, yep.
All right, well, thanks everyone for sharing and your participation. I feel like we really do know a little bit more of each other right now than we did at the beginning of the session. So I want you to please raise your hand or write in the chat box to comment your thoughts on this activity if you wish to do so. Denise?
I thought it was really fun, and like Margaret said, you asked really deep questions that got us thinking, and we definitely know each other a lot better now.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, how did you find designing it? Would you use this in your own workshop?
Something along those lines, yes.
Yeah, very good.
I like the cloud picture. It's pretty. Like I'm not. You know how like if you look at a slide too long, you just sort of get bored with it. But it's such a pretty slide. I know that sounds sort of funny, but it's such a pretty slide. I don't feel bored looking at it. Granted, maybe it's because I'm locked in my house all day, but
when you're looking at the slide, Joanna, that's a really great point. And where you put "would you rather," Jessica, it's not straight, and I love that because all of my slides are all straight and in line. But when you have something like that, it's just more whimsical, and it does make you look at the slide in a different way. So something as simple as turning the words so they're not all straight makes it another way to engage. Denise?
I agree.
Well, yes, I gave my comment already. I should change my emoticon.
Well, fantastic. That was really, really well done. And now you can see how we can use icebreakers that are theme topic related, so that everything you say and do for a reason. And again, this is a 2 truths and a lie that somebody did. So just if you're interested in looking at that, it's a great way to do 2 truths and a lie in a different way. But we're not going to go through it today.
I like what Denise said for that one, Margaret. She said you could call it 2 truths and a lie Mythbusters.
We just call it Mythbusters because that's really what you're doing. You're busting the myths.
Yeah.
So you could have, pick which one is the myth.
There you go. So yeah, you're thinking outside the box. There you go. And but just remember to keep it theme specific because you only have that 1 hour. And any of these icebreakers, as long as it's okay with all of you, we're happy to share with. It's already got a script and a slide ready to go. It's a give and go. Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to lightly talk about some homework. So it's time to start on that little project outline that we talked with you about earlier. It's going to be coming up in the after session email where you put your name, your objective, and then the 2 activities. And so that's the outline table. So at the halfway point here for the class, you do want to be selecting that final topic, solidifying which one it is you're going to be using. So finally, this week, we want you to start looking at and then selecting the date for your first practice session for your final project. Don't freak out. That doesn't mean you have to have anything ready. We're just starting to look at booking practice times. And so you're going to be looking for practice times between March 2nd and the 20th. Now, just so you know, the graduation is the 22nd. So the earlier you can get your practice in, the better it is, because then we can schedule your actual final delivery for your community and try to get that in before the 22nd. So session 7, which is our last main session, is on March 1st. So we want you to start looking at the dates and times. And Margaret can show us, if we have a couple extra minutes, she can actually show us where you can go to look at the schedule on the MFRC-PEI WebEx website.
That's a great idea. So I'm going to share my web browser. Go up to the top left-hand side and click Share Web Browser. And then it gives me an opportunity to make sure I have my desktop clear. And I'm going to click Share Web Browser again so you can see what I'm seeing. It's going to turn blue for you in just a moment. There we go. Awesome. So this is also another great way to log in and to register as well. Whoops, what happened there? I lost it. It went away.
I was thinking, oh, kicked you out.
It kicked me out. Well, isn't that fun? Stand by. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, browser. Technical difficulty. Yeah, it's coming along. It did kick me right out. Interesting.
I put it in the chat box, Margaret.
Great.
That helps too.
Okay. Well, we don't have more time now. No, it's still 2.
That's good.
Okay. All right. So this is also how you can see where you want to register. So if you go to the MFRC-PEI.webex.com site, turn off that, and then you go to Upcoming here. If you click on Upcoming, you're going to see all the different sessions that are already booked.
These are all in Ottawa time, so East
These
Coast
are all
time?
in Ottawa time, and so you can see what time is free. Now, I would ask that you give me at least a half an hour between sessions, but this will give you an idea of what days and what times are free for your practice session. Once we have all the practice sessions, then we will decide who is going to be your producer. And so if you ever do not get the link to register, you go to this site again, And you just click register on the site that it is, and then you'll be able to register. So we don't always have to send you the information. This is a third way that you've learned how to explain to people how to log in and register for a session. So this is where you can register, and this is where you can decide on your schedule.
And I put the, if you guys want to look at it as soon as you leave today, to look at a time, I put the link to the MFRC-PEI WebEx site right there in the chat box. And while you're in there, you can always go ahead and register for the upcoming classes.
There you go. Excellent. Okay, so go ahead and start your PowerPoint presentation if you have time, because the more work you put on it now, the less you'll have to do later. Anybody who's done their icebreaker, it's great because now you don't have any more presentations to do, just work on your final presentation. And remember, a lot of your presentation is already done, so it's going to be an hour long. The pre-session activity, when people are logging in, you're going to have one slide. Then you have 10 minutes to explain the tools, and we're going to give you a shortcut on how to explain the tools in a quick way. And then you can also explain the tools through the activities, so you can do two things at once. We're going to ask you to do a 10-minute icebreaker activity, and then you have about 30 minutes for your presentation where you're engaging 3 to 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes to wrap up and evaluate. So really, a lot of it you've already done. So just start right now to get your presentation together. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot of slides, less is more. Remember that as well. Anything you wanted to add, Joanna?
No, I find that for a solid 1 hour presentation, I usually have 10 slides and maybe at the most 15.
Yeah.
So that's what I shoot for, is to 10 to 15 slide pages. And then script pages to match. So if you're looking for well, how long is normally long? I've had people do ones that are 25 pages long, and you can do it, but you're cramming a lot in, and usually you can't keep that to an hour.
Mm-hmm. I like that guideline. 10 to 15 is a good one. Yeah, and if you do cram it all in, then it's not engaging. Awesome.
Right.
So what?
Okay, so what is next? Pardon me and my sniffles. All right, so session 5 is next Wednesday, February 15th, same bat time, same bat channel, where we are going to be talking a little bit about just marketing. How do you market something like this virtually? If you put up a flyer, they can't click on a link in a flyer that's actually been posted on a post board, right? So, what can you do for that, and et cetera, et cetera. We're going to talk about how to set up polls and breakout rooms so that if that's something you want to do in one of your presentations, you know how to do it. It's also covered in your handbook if you want to look ahead. And we're going to be adding in some more icebreakers next week. We'll probably have to fit in an icebreaker or two on the session 6 on February 22nd, since we missed 1 or 2 today. And session 6 on February 22nd is all things troubleshooting. So we're just going to go through some different troubleshooting scenarios. Not that you're going to, feel 100% comfortable troubleshooting issues, but it's going to give you some ideas of what the most common troubleshooting issues are. And so that way, if you do encounter them, you're not totally stymied. So, sorry, that was wrong. All things
sharing.
Sorry, all things sharing. Scratch what I just said. What I just said about troubleshooting is going to be session 7 on March 1st. Going back, session 6, so all things sharing is, we're going to talk about how Margaret just did what she did. How did she share her web browser? Why would she share her web browser? We're going to talk about sharing different kinds of files, sharing videos, and all things sharing. And then we're going to end on March 22nd with our graduation, session 8, with a virtual potluck. I wish that we could somehow Star Trek transport food through things, but we can't, unfortunately. And we'll do a Jeopardy recap, where we recap using a Jeopardy format all the different things that we've learned. And it's just a 1-hour session. So we hope that you can make it to the graduation on March 22nd. Okay, any questions?
So Jessica, Caitlin, Glenda, you rocked that presentation. Thank you so much. You did a great job on your icebreakers, and we're excited to see what's going to happen next week. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And we're finished 3 minutes early.
Okay. All right, ladies. Well, we look forward to our icebreakers next week.
Awesome. Have a great week. Thank you.
You too.
Hey, Mark, can I stay on with you for just a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Me and my stuffy nose.
Yes.
Oh, don't
I want
forget
some
the
of your soup.
Don't forget the link to MFRC-PEI is in your chat box if you want to copy it and paste it into your browser. Yeah, Glenda.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. Margaret, I just want to tell you that I share the links that you sent to us about the next WebEx information.
On money management?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Non, écoute, si je peux te parler en français, pour moi c'est plus facile si je te le dis en français.
Oui, je peux parler en français.
OK, merci. Oui, on a déjà partagé la programmation pour les prochaines sessions de WebEx.
Oui.
Moi, je l'ai partagé pour les 13 et la semaine passée. Alors, si tu as des autres choses que tu voudrais partager dans notre site, sur notre page Facebook, tu peux me l'envoyer et moi, je peux le programmer pour notre page.
Excellent. Merci bien.
Non, merci beaucoup. Maintenant, c'est tout.
Cheers.
Bon, merci beaucoup, Mactoy. Bye, bye. Merci. Thank you, Joanna. Bye. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye, bye.
Bye. Hi,
Joanna's like, troubleshooting. Nah, it's not even the right day.
I know.
Do you want to stop the recording?
Yes, I do. There we go. Thank you for letting me know.